Hey, here are 5 stupid things I've noticed since last time. Pat Robertson, voice of reason. The week before Halloween, Pat Robertson took a short break from begging people for money on the 700 Club to say this.
Those people in the Republican primary have got to lay off this stuff. They're forcing their leaders, the front runners, into positions that will mean they lose the general election.
Republicans, if that doesn't sober your asses up, nothing will. How crazy has your party become? So crazy that it now falls to the guy who once called the Democratic Party carriers of the plague from the stage of the 1988 Republican Convention. The guy who blamed 9/11 on gay people to be the sensible one. Does that scare the shit out of you? Because I think it's pretty funny. Misunderstanding of the Occupy protests. They're getting clubbed and tear-gassed by police from coast to coast. Right-wing pundits are calling them a nuisance, and local business owners are complaining that they're disrupting the economy and costing them thousands, maybe even millions of dollars. And that's the point. Was the 60s really that long ago? Because I didn't even exist then, and I know what's going on. The Occupy protests are just that. They are protests. This is not the Tea Party, all right? They're not just attending scheduled rallies and listening to some speeches and holding up ignorant signs about the president and then going home. They're planting their feet and they're refusing to move until things change. They don't want to cooperate with the local governments and the authorities. They want to be a nuisance. They want to be disruptive. They don't want to be appeased and they don't want to be pandered to. Now, we can argue back and forth about how the movement has been compromised by outside interests since it started 2 months ago, and we can argue over whether or not any of this is even going to do any good at all. But those are separate discussions. The ongoing befuddlement over what the Occupy movement is inexcusably stupid. Jesus Ween. Jesus Ween is a Christian alternative to Halloween invented by Paul Aide, pastor of a church in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Children forced by their parents to celebrate Jesus Ween were given pocket-sized, kid-friendly Bibles for their goodie bags in lieu of candy. But that's not even the stupidest part of Jesus Ween. No, that would be that there was already a Christian version of Halloween. It's called Halloween. See, Paul Aide thinks that Halloween is a pagan holiday, but it's not. It does borrow a great deal of its ritual and tradition from pre-Christian holidays like Samhain, but Halloween itself is a Christian holiday. The clue is right there in the name, Halloween. It's a contraction of All Hallows Even, which was the day before All Hallows, or All Saints' Day, which was also known as Hallowmas. Halloween is also a secular holiday, which it has in common with Christmas, another Christian holiday with a great deal of roots in pre-Christian traditions. Yet, the Christians haven't felt the need to invent Jesus-mas. I wonder why. House of Representatives reaffirms "In God We Trust." "In God We Trust" is a lousy motto for the United States, or for any nation that aspires to be free, for that matter. It excludes millions of Americans, including yours truly, who don't count ourselves among that God-trusting we. I don't trust in God, and in fact, if I were going to put my trust in a fictional character, it wouldn't be God, it would be someone like Superman or Captain Kirk, because they get results without having to resort to genocide, usually. As for what the nation's motto should be in place of "In God We Trust," well, E pluribus unum would definitely be an improvement, but a tad pretentious, seeing as how most of us Americans don't speak Latin. Now, how about a nice, clean English translation of that Latin phrase? From many, one. French newspaper firebombed after making fun of Muhammad. The Paris offices of satirical newspaper Charlie Hebdo were firebombed last week after it published an issue of which the Prophet Muhammad was supposedly the guest editor, complete with a cover of a cartoon depiction of Muhammad threatening 100 lashes to anyone who doesn't die of laughter after reading the issue. That's the cover right there. And just in case there's anyone watching this who believes that violence is ever a justifiable response to someone making fun of your stupid, brutish medieval religion, I shall now offer the only appropriate response to such people. Go fuck yourself. The hardest part is only picking 5. See you next time.